So Paddy the Baddy just got beat. Paddy the Baddy, as a matter of fact, got submitted. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So there's something that goes on in England. This is Paddy's gym. Paddy enters this thing every year. It's called something. And then they have a king of the mat. It's a grappling tournament, but they have this thing, this king of the mat. Paddy was in the finals a year ago, and after an hour, they just stopped the match and called it a draw. So he was a co-champion. So whatever this thing is, it's a thing that matters to him. So he enters it, I guess, over the weekend. I guess. And he ends up getting beat.
Gaethje, Paddy, what do you think it looks like?
Oh, man. More skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks. And when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there. But Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Ilia Topuria later on this year.
I don't think that's true, dude. He's actually changed his style so much, and his stats are kind of misleading. Like, if you look at his significant strike numbers, dude, it kind of like Max Holloway. Like, you can't statistically prove that Max Holloway's defense has improved or whatever it is, or that he's more technical, but you can see it when you rewatch his recent fights. Justin Gaethje's the same, dude. Like, his defense used to be fucking abysmal. He would just walk through you, but now he actually has shown improvements in his defense. He was making Dustin Poirier miss a lot in their fight, really frustrated him with his footwork, with his head movement. Had some good moments against Max Holloway, dropped him for the first time. He sharpened up his technique. He has a really nice jab. Like I said, his defense is a very underrated part of his game. He has good footwork. He feints. He mixes things up between the body and the head. I think that'll work well against Paddy Pimblett, who's super focused on, I need to have my hands up, I need to do this, or his hands are down really low. They're both open, depending on the feints and the setups that you use to capitalize really, really effectively on Paddy Pimblett in the striking. We've seen it.
Fiziev was short notice in this one, coming off an injury, and he, you know, it is what it is. But another thing about Gaethje I want to bring up too is recently in his career, he's kind of just sort of started to wrestle a little bit more. This no wrestling thing that he did have going on for a long time, he's kind of abandoned it, which I think is good. I know that Paddy Pimblett's grappling is really elite, and if Gaethje tries to take him down, it probably would be a mistake, but that tells me the wrestling is something that he's still got in his back pocket, something that he can use to keep the fight on the feet, keep the fight standing. And I think that when the fight is standing, yes, Pimblett looks so good against Chandler. I think Chandler just sucks, I'll be honest. I think I was wrong about Chandler. I think that's also part of it too. I think Gaethje goes out there and beats Paddy Pimblett, man. I think he's a much better striker out of the two. We've seen him go 5 rounds. We saw him go 5 rounds against Holloway. I know that he got knocked out in the last second of that fight, and you know, it did kind of suck for that. I actually think I picked Holloway to beat him, though. I can't actually remember. But anyway, it kind of sucked for Gaethje for that to have happened, but, you know, it did kind of create a viral moment that people are still trying to recreate to this day.
So, all right, let's break this down. We're watching Paddy Pimblett step into what could be the defining moment of his entire fighting journey. Standing across from him is Justin Gaethje, a fighter who turns every octagon into his personal demolition zone. These two couldn't be more opposite in their fighting styles, and their careers are heading in completely different directions. The MMA community is completely divided on this one. This goes way beyond social media hype or building a fan base. This is Paddy's do or die moment where he either shows he deserves to be mentioned with the elite or gets brutally reality checked on the biggest stage.
You know, for other guys, but I know Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje is a very competitive fight. It's going to be an exciting fight. And I'm not saying other fights not going to be exciting, you know, but at the end of the day, we know Paddy and Justin Gaethje is going to be a complete firework. There's no way in hell this fight will go 5 rounds. There's no way, you know.
Are you surprised that Justin opened as like a plus 200 underdog? I think it's already starting to flip a little bit.
It's no problem. He was underdog was Tony Ferguson too. What happened? You know, he was underdog was Dustin Poirier second time. What happened? You know, it's okay. You can doubt Justin, but I'm gonna tell you something. If Justin fights in Chelsea, he's gonna make it sleep. I respect Pimblett. I think he's very underrated. I think a lot of people talk shit about him, but I was like, the guy never lost in the UFC. How are you gonna talk shit about him? But I think if Justin Gaethje, touch his chin, he's gonna make him go to sleep. But vice versa too. He have very good grappling. It's a very intriguing match.
The fight world is buzzing with hot takes about this incredible showdown. Chael Sonnen dropped some real knowledge that went much deeper than just mentioning Paddy's recent grappling loss. Chael's entire argument centered around what that loss revealed about Paddy's warrior mentality, especially heading into a war with a destroyer like Justin Gaethje. What really grabbed Chael's focus was how Paddy, right in the thick of intense fight preparation, still chose to step into a local grappling competition at his home gym. Think about it, a community event that obviously held personal significance. Chael highlighted how Paddy showed up knowing the dangers, potential injuries, and possibility of defeat, then dealt with the outcome like a true champion. He didn't avoid the test, he embraced it head on. Chael nailed it when he pointed out that Paddy the Baddie took a loss, but there was something much more meaningful behind those words.
Paddy the Baddie, as a matter of fact, got submitted. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So there's something that goes on in England. This is Paddy's gym. Paddy enters this thing every year. It's called something. And then they have a king of the mat. It's a grappling tournament, but they have this thing, this king of the mat. Paddy was in the finals a year ago, and after an hour, they just stopped the match and called it a draw. So he was a co-champion. So whatever this thing is, it's a thing that matters to him. So he enters it, I guess, over the weekend, I guess. And
Chael took this analysis straight to what's waiting with Justin Gaethje. His take was that authentic fighters, especially ones with Paddy's relentless drive, don't waste time protecting some manufactured image like you see in other major sports. These gladiators dive headfirst into dangerous high-stakes scenarios even when there's absolutely nothing official on the table. No championship, no massive contract. Just raw pride driving them forward. Chael broke down exactly why this approach isn't just admirable, but completely necessary. When you're preparing to face a human wrecking ball like Justin Gaethje, someone who doesn't just handle adversity but feeds off it and converts it into devastating power, as Chael stated with total certainty, you absolutely cannot enter that cage with a relentless storm like Gaethje if you're harboring even the tiniest doubt about losing somewhere in your mind, because that doubt becomes ammunition he'll find and exploit.
now, one of the reasons it's so cool is I don't think you have heard about it. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is there's no other sport where this would happen. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is it doesn't matter. And that's one cool thing about our community. Like, if a guy like Paddy wants to go out there and take a risk and do something like this, he can chalk that up to a tremendous victory. He can also chalk that up to a workout. And you know what? We need to keep it that way. It's one thing that we have done very well as a group, and there's no others.
Chael, never one to follow conventional wisdom, also dismantled the absurd notion that losing outside official UFC competition, particularly in grappling, automatically signals weakness. He laid it out with crystal clarity, pointing out that this kind of competition doesn't impact your professional MMA record, so there's no legitimate harm from that perspective. But what it definitely shows he maintained is authentic desire, that burning need to test yourself and improve regardless of what's at risk. From Chael's viewpoint, Paddy's professional handling of that recent grappling defeat, accepting it as just another opportunity for growth and education rather than making excuses or disappearing, revealed something vital. It proved the kind of competitor who possesses the rock-solid mental fortitude and pure will to walk confidently into combat against someone as lethal as Justin Gaethje, instead of cracking under enormous expectations or attempting to avoid confrontation. This extends far beyond physical durability. It's about the psychological warfare that begins long before the first strike lands.
That LeBron drops in for a one-on-one with the college star. He just couldn't take the risk. He just simply could not take the risk. This happened when I was a kid. It was to John McEnroe in Oregon. This was before the internet was a thing, but John McEnroe came out and he played somebody. We had some high school star down in, it was down in Eastern Oregon. I want to say maybe Pendleton. At any rate, the guy beat him. Our high school star beat McEnroe, and this was a thing. This was a thing. But it's one of these reasons why you can't ever get that. Like, you are left to believe that the NBA is better than the NCAA. You're led to believe the NFL is better than college football. I'm sure you're right, but there's exceptions, and there's certain positions at certain times where there are exceptions. You will never know.
Now let's talk about something that dominated fight media for weeks. The respected Ariel Helwani went directly after those Justin Gaethje injury rumors that had the entire community speculating. Ariel stated emphatically that the questionable footage and images circulating online had the whole MMA universe in chaos, primarily because the timing felt so perfectly orchestrated, almost calculated. Consider this for a moment. Right when fight promotion should have been running flawlessly without any drama, suddenly the shadow of doubt appears out of nowhere. He emphasized that even this suggestion of uncertainty alone has the power to dramatically alter how supporters view this entire bout with Paddy. He really examined just how disturbing and frankly unsettling the whole scenario truly became. Ariel methodically focused on how genuinely awful and concerning the footage looked, and thoroughly broke down why fans were completely reasonable in wondering about authenticity or meaning. The core issue he maintained wasn't simply what Justin or his camp said about any injury, it was how visually disturbing it appeared to everyone who witnessed it, and even more critically, how unbelievably quickly those images spread throughout social platforms. That level of profound doubt, Helwani argued, absolutely hangs over a major bout like dark clouds, fundamentally shifting the entire atmosphere in anticipation as we move toward what should be an epic battle.
Rumors have been swirling that Justin Gaethje is injured. A few videos have surfaced of him diving and cracking heads with someone, which wobbled him bad. Do you have any inside information? Have you not heard of this? Okay, actually, I got to be honest. I thought you guys were talking about. I thought he was going to ask about. I saw a bunch of pictures about this thing.
Though, right?
Yeah, the ingrown hair is what he's claiming.
Okay, right.
Ingrown hair and a bit of brisket. Yeah.
Brisket.
Yeah, a little brisket on the chin.
Because they said he had herpes on his mouth. He's like, I was eating brisket and I had an ingrown hair.
If that is an ingrown hair, that's the gnarliest ingrown hair I've ever seen. That makes like a little red dot on your neck if it's an ingrown hair. He had a crater in his neck. I don't know about
By the way, could you imagine? Just for a moment, you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
I do know exactly where you're going.
Enter Armin.
Yes.
Enter Armin.
Yes, it's time.
Speaking of honest assessments, Artem Lobov stepped forward and began by acknowledging something significant. He's questioned Paddy Pimblett previously, and frankly he's been completely wrong about those calls before. But despite that history and those mistakes, Artem confessed he still couldn't ignore the identical concerns he keeps seeing in Paddy's performances. For Lobov, Paddy's fights consistently display these concerning phases where his cardio visibly fades, opening up dangerous windows, and that creates an extremely hazardous dynamic when you're facing someone who delivers absolutely crushing non-stop punishment like Justin Gaethje. But the single biggest glaring weakness Artem pointed out was Paddy's defensive gaps. He spotted a serious flaw where Paddy regularly leaves his chin in vulnerable spots, essentially offering opponents repeated opportunities to land brutally clean damage. Now that aggressive high-risk style can work beautifully when you're battling opponents who fade or hesitate as fights progress. But here's the problem. Justin Gaethje never fades and he rarely whiffs when he finds his opening. Artem made it perfectly obvious that while it's exciting and entertaining to admire Paddy's chaotic, unpredictable style, that's entirely different from actually trusting it to work against a proven world-class destroyer like Gaethje, assuming this fight even materializes.
And now we've got Gaethje fighting Pimblett for the vacant title. And I know I've just picked favorites the entire card. And I know that is kind of probably not that exciting for you guys. I am picking Gaethje to beat Paddy Pimblett in this fight. I've been proven wrong by Paddy Pimblett so many times. Over and over and over and over again. If you guys remember, I picked Tony Ferguson to beat Paddy Pimblett in that fight, and I will be honest with you guys, there was a moment there in that third round where it looked like maybe Ferguson was going to get something going because Pimblett did gas out pretty bad in that fight, but that is just cope on my end. And then even then, I picked Michael Chandler to beat him too. Have I ever been more wrong about a fight? Probably not, to be honest with you, but he looked really, really good. The problem with me and Paddy Pimblett, dude, is there's two things that he's just never fixed. His cardio and his striking defense. He still keeps his chin way up in the air. I know that's why people love him. I know people love Paddy Pimblett because of that. The problem is, though, I just don't like seeing that and then trying to justify picking him to beat Justin Gaethje, who just beat Rafael Fiziev a couple of times in the last few years. Now, I know that Artem didn't,
but he did. Artem didn't end his analysis there. He also examined a really crucial aspect of this potential clash: Justin Gaethje's significant growth and maturation as a complete mixed martial artist over recent years. Lubov specifically highlighted that Justin is no longer simply the stubborn warrior who was completely committed to standing and trading bombs exclusively, a label he once wore proudly. What's really critical here is this: even if Gaethje has zero intention in actually engaging in a wrestling battle with Paddy, the simple existence of his high-caliber wrestling foundation and takedown abilities is constantly present as an option, and that possibility, that unspoken potential for level changes, becomes an incredibly powerful strategic weapon on its own. It's what enables Justin to dictate exactly where the action unfolds, controlling the terms of engagement. Artem firmly believed that maintaining this war on the feet, preserving that striking battle, is absolutely essential for Gaethje's success in this particular matchup, and thanks to his considerable growth and development as a well-rounded MMA athlete, Justin now possesses an even larger arsenal of sophisticated tools and tactics to ensure that happen, keeping the confrontation exactly where he dominates.
Fiziev was short notice in this one, coming off an injury, and he, it is what it is. But another thing about Gaethje I want to bring up too is recently in his career, he's kind of just sort of started to wrestle a little bit more. This no wrestling thing that he did have going on for a long time, he's kind of abandoned it, which I think is good. I know that Paddy Pimblett's grappling is really elite, and if Gaethje tries to take him down, it probably would be a mistake, but that tells me the wrestling is something that he's still got in his back pocket, something that he can use to keep the fight on the feet, keep the fight standing. And I think that when the fight is standing, yes, Pimblett looks so good against Chandler. I think Chandler just sucks, I'll be honest. I think I was wrong about Chandler. I think that's also part of it too. I think Gaethje goes out there and beats Paddy Pimblett, man. I think he's...
Moving the analysis forward, Bedtime MMA offered another crucial perspective, explaining how Paddy Pimblett, despite his submission expertise, isn't really a classic elite wrestler who consistently hunts for those picture-perfect traditional takedowns. Instead, Paddy's approach is far more unorthodox, completely relying on pure mayhem, strategic strikes, and an incredible ability for converting any brief opening into a wild ground scramble. And here's what becomes most important against a certified specialist like Justin Gaethje: that scramble-dependent opportunistic approach becomes incredibly dangerous, because Justin's takedown defense isn't just reliable, it's renowned for being exceptionally strong and technically flawless, completely prepared to effortlessly stuff any reckless, poorly executed, or desperate attempts, ensuring the battle remains exactly where he wants it, on their feet in his striking realm. This forces Paddy to forget those simple entries he might find against lesser opponents, compelling him to stand and trade punishment.
To me, it's really important to just look at these two stylistically. Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler, bro. Like, Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler. Justin Gaethje's a better striker. He has good takedown defense, and he has great power. That is my theory here, right? Because when you look at the way that these guys fight, Paddy Pimblett fights a lot behind kicks, dude. He's throwing oblique kicks, calf kicks, head kicks, body kicks, jumping, kind of, switching up in the air, throwing those kicks. He has improved his boxing. That was a big weakness.
Continuing that thorough breakdown, Bedtime MMA dove even deeper into why Justin Gaethje represents such an enormous obstacle, explaining that Justin is absolutely no longer the wild fighter he might have appeared to be in the past. He firmly dismissed the outdated idea that Gaethje is just some reckless, knockout hunting brawler, describing instead how Justin now employs a sophisticated arsenal of feints, precise movement, and measured defense to systematically force opponents to miss their attempts. And why is this so significant against Paddy? Because, as we've seen repeatedly, Paddy still has a tendency to eat clean damage far more than an elite level fighter should, and over the course of a grueling war, those accumulated shots can absolutely stack up and create serious problems. When Bedtime MMA carefully broke down the potential victory paths for both competitors, his lean became clear. Paddy's optimal route to success relies on generating early chaos, landing something significant to hurt Justin, then quickly converting that opportunity into a rapid opportunistic finish. But he cautioned that if that particular scenario doesn't develop quickly, the fight will almost certainly stay standing, where Justin holds a distinct advantage. In that probable outcome, Bedtime MMA believes Gaethje will methodically, possibly even brutally, dismantle Paddy, potentially securing a stoppage in the later rounds. That's why, despite openly admitting he wants Paddy to succeed, he reluctantly predicts Justin to score a TKO victory. Switching to a different perspective, the breakdown from Dillian highlighted Paddy's undeniably sharp fighting intelligence and a really solid all-around skill set. He especially praised Paddy's remarkable willingness to battle effectively off his back when grounded, rendering his danger there and his intelligent utilization of his reach through damaging kicks. Dillian believes Paddy has shown tremendous growth in the loaded lightweight landscape, displaying genuine intelligence in how he constructs his attacks, making him a legitimate and dangerous threat, particularly if he can successfully weather and survive Justin's infamously brutal early storm. Dillian also acknowledged, with a brutal honesty, that Justin delivers an almost unrivaled level of violence and raw power to every single encounter. While respecting Paddy's capabilities, he suggested that Justin's explosive striking could simply be too much for him to handle. Dillian feels that while Paddy's recent performances prove he can succeed against specific types of fighters, Justin Gaethje operates at a completely different elite level. He firmly believes that while Paddy definitely possesses the tools to win, Justin's vast experience paired with his relentless pressure will make it incredibly difficult for Paddy to establish control. Then we received Mike Bones' take, who thinks this fight isn't just gonna deliver action, it's virtually guaranteed to be an absolute bloodbath from opening bell to final horn. He picked Justin Gaethje to win by relentlessly moving forward, unleashing a barrage of strikes, and utilizing his legendary fight-ending leg kicks to systematically break Paddy down and severely compromise his movement. But Mike also intelligently acknowledged that Paddy's inherently dangerous chaotic style generates an environment of complete unpredictability that can literally reverse the fight's momentum at any moment, and that chaos becomes particularly dangerous, a genuine game changer if the action somehow transitions to the mat, even briefly, because Paddy's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and his exceptional scrambling abilities are arguably his most potent weapons, and if Justin finds himself in that treacherous territory, Paddy possesses the unique capability to completely reverse the entire dynamic instantly by finding opportunities openings when Gaethje isn't prepared for them. He concluded his analysis by stressing how vital Paddy's fight preparation becomes. He firmly stressed that Paddy absolutely cannot approach this like any other standard training camp. Justin's continuous suffocating pressure is completely different, and Paddy must experience and fully comprehend that crushing intensity during preparation well before fight night occurs. If he attempts to adjust to that pace level inside the octagon, Mike warns it might be too late by then. But if Paddy prepares exactly correctly, conditioning himself for that high-intensity environment, he can place Justin in compromising positions and genuinely make the fight swing dramatically in his favor. Finally, the always outspoken manager Ali Abdelaziz labeled this a genuine pick'em fight specifically because both Paddy and Justin are advancing, pressure-fighting warriors. He envisions the moment that opening bell rings. They will literally crash together in the center of the octagon and the violence will be absolutely incredible from the first second. Ali definitively stated he sees zero chance of this fight reaching the final bell. He also noted Justin currently being the betting underdog, calmly reminding everyone that Justin has been doubted countless times before and has consistently responded with massive performances in the toughest fights available, which is why he remains completely confident despite the odds. He explained the fundamental equation. If Justin lands clean, Paddy is getting dropped hard, but conversely, if the fight somehow hits the canvas, Paddy can completely take over with his world-class grappling. So everything points to this fight being lightning quick, incredibly brutal, and highly likely to end dramatically before the time expires. Now we need to hear from you. Leave your prediction in the comments section. Are you riding with Justin's proven experience and crushing power, or are you supporting Paddy's technical abilities and undeniably smart game plan to pull off the upset?